Hello, welcome back to Lovin Sheila, the podcast shorts. We're at number 13, so let's get right into it. I've been thinking this week a little bit about rejection. And I know it seems like a four-letter word, and we all like struggle with it, and all of us probably hate it. I know I do. And looking back at my life, I recognize that for the most part, I kind of always got, seems like, what I wanted. Um, but what I realized in getting what I wanted, it also came with some things that I didn't want. And that meant I had to endure some things. It meant some things were painful. Um, and so it wasn't, and I also say, though I got what I wanted, and within that space, everything seemed right. However, outside of that space, there were a lot of things that were troubled, a lot of things that were shaky. And so I got what I thought I wanted in a very myopic view. But when I had what I wanted, the things externally were not so great. And they did not leave me feeling fulfilled. So I may not have been rejected, but I wasn't living in a complete way. It wasn't fulfilled. So I wasn't rejected. I was received, but not fulfilled. And so that led me to kind of reframe rejection. You know, we all go through it. We experience it in our personal lives, in our professional lives. You know, I experience it in my professional life, and I make an offer to someone and they don't like it, and they don't give me any feedback, and they just sometimes ghost me, and that same thing can happen in our personal lives, and we feel like it's rejection. And so I feel like we need to reframe this rejection a little bit. Oftentimes we look at it as denial, but we also need to look at it as something that rejection is working out our patience. Because if we're getting everything we want when we want it, then our patience is not being is not growing. We're not learning how to uh, work for things. And so a friend of mine characterized it to me as something was picking my fruit, because we know patience is also a fruit of the spirit. And so if something is happening and you're required to use your patience, it's growing in that area. And so she said, picking my fruit. And I was like, okay, that's true. But as we grow in this, we have to know how to grow, how to go through it, how to persevere in rejection. Because what we all know is it doesn't feel good. And, my natural reaction to any form of rejection is to, the same as everything else. It's all the same. I am who I am. And my natural reaction is to shut down, to close down, and to act like I didn't want it anyway, when that is not reality. I think a more mature response is just to understand that everything is not for us. And just because it is denied or delayed doesn't mean it will be denied. And that in the process, we have to learn how to go through and how to endure, because oftentimes these are not horrible things, like I mentioned earlier, where you will receive but not fulfill. It's just things that need to develop and as we grow. And so that's why I want to reframe rejection from a denial to even just a delay while we work through some things. Because I think, sometimes it is rejection. It's just like, I don't like it, I don't want you, I don't, whatever it is. And sometimes it's just looking at a bigger picture, because we don't want to be myopic. We don't want to say, oh, well, this is fulfilled and everything else around us is unfulfilled. So we don't want to just look at one thing. We want to look at the whole picture. And so that's what I want to say. So though you may feel rejected in some areas, just like I talked about love previously, I talked about eros and agape showing you how you can be loved in so many different ways, and really opening up your mind, and kind of possibly blowing your mind. Likewise, and what feels like rejection, it could be just another form of love, another form of growing you and helping you with your endurance, and not just your tolerance, because we can tolerate a lot of things and, say, well, this is okay, so I'll tolerate this. But helping us to understand how all these things work together for good, how a house not only has the foundation, it has the walls, it has the windows, it has everything. And so as we're building our house, and sometimes we have some rejection and we find like, oh, that hurts in that area. But just look at the foundation and look at the walls and look at the windows and everything else that you have. It's all necessary. It's a symbiotic relationship. So let's not focus on the negative and the things that we feel are hurtful as far as rejection. We will experience it, but if we take a broader look and look at the wider scheme of things, we'll see that sometimes rejection is for our own benefit, delay is for our own benefit. It helps us to grow, to become a better person. And it may not feel good. Oftentimes, the things that have grown me in my life have most often not felt very good, but it's the process. And the process, though, as I've mentioned 100 times over these episodes, the process is arduous, the process can be painful, but stay the course, okay? You might go through some rejection along the way, but look at the bigger picture, take a wide lens, look at the picture, and proceed forward. Because things that, it's a cliche, but things that come easy are not necessarily appreciated. The things that you have to work for, you have an appreciation for, you value it more because it cost you something. It may have cost you some tears, some sleepless nights, some hard work, some broken days, cost you all of your finances, but there is value in it, and we have to go through this process. So if it were all easy, we'd all be millionaires, we all have the love of our lives, it would just, everything would be in place. And guess what? We probably would not appreciate it. So we work for things, we put effort into things, we sit with things, we learn to evaluate things, and then we move forward. And we're not hasty, we're not reacting to different stimuli, to the stimuli of potentially rejection, but we are receiving it, we're processing it, and we are moving forward and putting it in our database to help us know how to move forward. So, rejection is not always just a 4 letter word. It can be needed to help us get to the next level. Again, immediate gratification is not always the best solution. So, I want to leave you with that, something I've been thinking about. Hopefully, it will encourage you if you're being rejected or if you not quite getting everything you want when you want it. Just know that just because it's being delayed doesn't mean it's being denied. And when we work for things, there tends to be a little bit more value in it. So that's what I'll leave you with. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, spread the word. I appreciate you doing that.